Hi, I'm Prabhakaran. I'm making history. History is your internet co-pilot. It gives you better bookmarks, highlights, web history for now, and a lot more soon. So the plan is to talk to you for a few minutes every morning while I have my second cup of coffee. So here we are. As far as making these videos, there are 230 views so far, 20 subscribers. So humble beginnings, but pretty exciting. Here's my experience posting on Reddit. A couple of these videos, which I thought would be useful for some people, like in a subreddit, I posted on Reddit. And to be quite frank, I was a little nervous that I would get some hate for it, because I've seen it happen to other people. But people were very supportive in the post that I did make. There was one person who said something negative, and then that person was kind of asked to fuck off by another user, which was pretty neat. So positive experiences. Also, I managed to zoom in on the video here. It's funny that Zoom doesn't have the zoom feature, right? I came across this software for Linux. I don't run Linux on my computer, of course. It's called GUVC View. I don't know this, but apparently all webcams are considered UVC, which is USB video class. It sounds fancy. So you change the settings there, and then the settings sticks around, and then you go to Zoom. I use Zoom to record my videos because it's really easy. And even when I do screen share, there is a video of my face on the side, all that stuff. So yeah, that's the, I promised continuous improvement, and that's the tiny improvement for the day. You're a little zoomed in, my face is framed a little better. Actually, speaking of continuous improvements, I do re-watch the videos I make, at least once, obviously. And I'm hoping that just doing that will automatically cause all these improvements to occur. One thing that I'm trying to be mindful of is the ums. There are a lot of them when I rewatch them. Every single, even now, it's hard to not do it even when you're aware. So I'm hoping over time it goes away. All these filling the gaps with ums. All right, I did that again. Oh, yesterday we got another paid user, so yay! It makes me so happy when I get another paid user. Actually, this paid user was from that blog post from Promnesia. So Promnesia is this open source tool that's pretty new, and I did worry about it. I still do a little bit, but not too much. It's the general feeling you get that there is a competitor. They're not trying to do exactly what history is doing, but there is some overlap. So initially I was a little concerned. I'm excited for open source software, of course. So that part is great. But your mind goes into this in this loop about what it means, and if pretty soon they're going to do everything history does, things like that. But they wrote a blog post comparing other things out there, and they linked to history. And funnily enough, I've got a lot of like a handful of signups from that blog post actually, and yeah, even a few paid users. Two a few days ago, and one from yesterday. They were all from that blog post by this quote unquote competitor, who are not really a competitor. So that made me think of that analogy to having a cafe and have like Starbucks open up on the same street, and the cafe owner invariably, of course, worries. But what actually happens is Starbucks increases the foot traffic, and the cafe, the non-Starbucks cafe, actually gets a lot more customers. So kind of intuitive, but that's how it works. Also got a fan mail yesterday. One of the users, his name is Victor. He says, I'm reading it. That I'm loving the continual additional polish to history, and it's looking nicer and nicer every week. So that put a big smile on my face. That was nice to hear. And yesterday was especially pretty productive. So we have users from China who are using history pretty extensively, and one user titled their notebooks with Chinese characters. Although I have Unicode support, the slug, when you convert that title into a URL fragment, it was getting turned into like an empty string, and that was causing issues. So I fixed that yesterday. So now you can put in any characters in the title you want, and it automatically takes care of that. What else did I do? Oh yeah. So I've been trying to hire somebody good, right? I had a ton of applicants from Hacker News. I went through all of that yesterday, replied to all of them. Frankly, like there was only one person that fit my criteria, and in terms of experience and the skills that I'm looking for. The rate they are asking for is a little bit on the high side, and as you know, I'm bootstrapping. So I've emailed that person asking if they'd be willing to, work out a little bit of a more reasonable rate for me. But from my side, what I could do for them is to make the work really enjoyable. I'm a programmer as well, so I know all the headaches that programmers have to face when doing spec work, for lack of a better term. So I can make that easier, better. We'll see. And also, I replied to most of the people from Upwork who had applied. Things are looking not that great, but that's how it is. You just have to keep working through the applicants until you find somebody really good. And I did find somebody really good in the past, so I'm very hopeful. I'm also thinking of other ideas. For example, what if I ran an ad campaign on Facebook but just to hire people? So possibilities there. As far as coding goes, even for that, yesterday was very productive. I talked about my new fancy algorithm for highlighting sections in a page, and it would stay stable even when the underlying page changes a little bit. So I'm excited about that. I worked on that more yesterday. Made some good progress. We'll see. I also did some more research on trying to find a good, like, well-tested library for the actual highlighting portion of things. So my algorithm would take care of like figuring out where the highlight needs to go, and then use a highlight library to actually display the highlights. There is one promising library. I tested it pretty thoroughly, and there was this one. There is one issue when you try to highlight across several HTML elements, and I'm hopeful that I can sort that out. Like, why is this challenging, right? Why? I think trying to be like aggressively efficient in your code in trying to accomplish that is definitely helpful. I don't think that's um, a bad trade-off. I'll give you a comparison. I read this article recently that compared a lot of Chrome extensions and the impact of them on your speed. And they said that Evernote injects 3 megabytes into every page if you have that extension web clipper thingy enabled, which to me is pretty insane. 3 megabytes. My first computer had 128 kilobytes of total RAM. Apple IIc. Anyway, that's I understand that using the trade-off of actually using the RAM, what's the point of having all that RAM, 16 gigabytes of it, if you're not using it? But you can't go too far, and I think this is one of those instances because, three, like, people, it's not like, yeah, we do that, but nobody notices it. Everybody notices how sluggish the pages are, and I think that's one of the core things I hope would be the key differentiator of history, where things are done very thoughtfully, considering the trade-offs. So, yeah, I was just thinking, Moore's law and all that, but it's like, I would say, it's like having a spendthrift significant other, husband or wife, or and also probably children too. If you have like really spoiled children, you can make more and more money, but they can definitely find a way to spend even more than what you make. All right, that's enough rant about bloated software. Today, I'm pretty excited. Ibrahim, I had a few requests for minor bug fixes for him, and he has some PRs up for review. So I hope to like do code reviews and merge them in. They were all pretty minor bugs. I list the avatars in a notebook with listing all the people the notebook has been shared. The avatars were out of order, and the usernames weren't displayed correctly on the avatar. Like the different usernames were, so then it was getting mixed up. It's so not noticeable, but I like to get all the details right. Okay, so that makes me that's something that I wanted to talk about, like how do I do code reviews. So actually, the way I review code is very thorough, and this is not at all the way you would do code reviews in like a bigger company. If you did, then you would get nothing else done. Like imagine if some PR. Pull PR is a pull request. It is like the set of code changes. Um, it comes your way and you have to review it. You can't take a whole day to review that in a company setting, right? Like max, if it's a relatively like medium-sized small PR, like people take a few minutes. But even in a full-time job setting, I take longer. I might take an hour to really go through what they're trying to do, and ask questions about in a gentle way, like asking questions when doing code reviews is probably by itself a big topic that I could go about, and I think that's valuable, and people have appreciated me for doing it, in a way that's very, it if you did it right, it can lead to better code with the developer also feeling like you are on their side, and they learn something and you learn something, and things are all better overall. It's a win-win. Most people, of course, don't do it that way. Anyway, that's a rant for another day. But that's in a company setting, and even in ours, nobody does that. But I do that. But for this, for history, when I get a pull request, there is no upper limit on the time that I would spend on it. I go through every line, and I think about what I would have done, and then compare to what's being done, and see if it is better or worse. And then I run the code, and then I think about and I play with it, and then I think about I read every single line, of course, and then think about it in the context of the whole app. So it takes a long time, but I find it to be very, very worthwhile. And if I didn't do that, so it serves multiple purposes. Number one being it's kind of as if I wrote that code myself, which is important because it's just me and one other person working as a contractor. So it's very important to keep the whole thing in my head, and if I don't, then like it's not like a big team where everyone has their own responsibility. I'm the product person as well as the programmer, and I'm making all the trade-offs and everything. So it's important to like completely rock the code base. So the short version of that is I spent a long time, and I find it to be useful, and I've caught so many things. And if I don't do that, I even like shudder to think what the state would be now. Okay, so that's like I ended up talking for a while today, but that's it for today. Talk to you soon. Bye.